we're going to earn more. So I can as well borrow to buy whatever I want to buy right now. So that increases individual debts. And that is problematic for the economy. So I wrote, this builds up personal debts and may create a long-term problem because consumers may have consumers may have to limit their consumption at some point to repay the debts, especially if their income grows slower than expected. Now that we've incurred more debts because we are expecting to have more income in the future, what about if in the future, because it's the future, it's unpredictable. What about in the future, now that we've raised more debts and in the future the income is not increasing? It means we have to stop our consumption. And stopping our consumption means aggregate demand within the economy would fall because a lot of people have borrowed money for consumption and they have to pay back the debt. To pay back the debt, their income is not increasing. They have to cut down spending. So cutting down spending means cutting down aggregate demand, which is another problem within the economy. Because if aggregate demand within the economy is falling, unemployment will rise. Do you get the point I'm making here? So that's the point I'm making. So also, an overdependence on consumer may create an unbalanced economy. So for firms, investors, if banks have to rely on savings to fund investment, then there's problem. It will be a problem because it means investors are relying on consumer savings to start their own investment. So over-reliance on them will mean that they are vulnerable to consumers. What about if consumers are unable to save? So that means the economic growth, there will be negative economic growth. There will be decline in output. That is the point about an unbalanced economy here. Over-reliance. Now, individuals, they've raked up a lot of debts. They have to pay up debts. As a result of that, they won't be able to spend. They will rather pay up debts. They are not saving, but they are repaying their loans.
Yes.
Do you get the point here? So it means firms, businesses that are expecting to get savings from individuals are wasting time because they won't get. That's an unbalanced situation. And at the same time, because we spend more within the economy, we're not saving. We might be spending on importation. Because we talked about living standards improving. If living standards is improving, it simply means those things I felt, okay, I need some imported goods. I don't want to consume domestic goods anymore. I want to consume imported goods. So I could as well consume more imported goods. Then what happens to domestic firms? The revenue would fall for them. So that's another problem about saving less. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So imports are likely to be high because some spending are maybe done through importation. I explained that. So now notice this. Either a fall in saving ratio or a rise in saving ratio might not be problematic. It depends on the current situation of the economy. So here I wrote, note, a rising saving ratio or a falling saving ratio may not be problematic. It will depend on the current state of the economy. So for example, if economic growth is low or negative, saving ratio will make it worse. If the economy is in decline or there's a negative economic growth, if there's a rise in saving ratio, it will make it worse. How? The economy is not growing. And for the economy to grow, aggregate demand has to increase. But now, saving is increasing more than spending. Then how will aggregate demand increases? So it means a high saving ratio with an economic decline will make the situation worse. Do you get the point now?
Yes.
To make an economy to grow, aggregate demand has to increase. But if savings is increasing, then aggregate demand is not increasing. Okay. That's why most of the time, when aggregate demand is falling, government will find policies that would bring about expansionary situation, like expansionary fiscal policy, expansionary monetary policy, because these things will increase spending within the economy. Expansionary fiscal policy could be through increasing subsidy. So if government increases its spending, goods become affordable, then consumer will start buying more. Aggregate demand would increase. Government might also use expansionary fiscal policy through cutting taxes. If government cuts taxes, it means disposable income would increase. Mm-hmm. People will have more income to spend, then aggregate demand would increase. So without expansionary fiscal policy or monetary policy, aggregate demand would not increase.
Okay.
So here, saving more in an economy that is in decline will make the situation worse. Clear?
Yes.
However, if the aggregate demand is growing too quickly, then a rising saving ratio will be beneficial. So if aggregate demand is going at a faster rate, it will bring about inflation. So people should start saving at that point in time. So a rise in saving ratio when the aggregate demand is increasing would be beneficial to the economy, because it simply means people will stop spending and start saving. Then demand pull inflation would reduce. Because if care is not taken with an increasing aggregate demand within the economy, firms will respond by increasing the prices of goods and services, and that will bring about demand pull inflation. Okay. So if the economy is growing, government can also solve the problem. If aggregate demand is increasing within the economy, to ensure that there's no inflation, government will use contractionary fiscal policy, contractionary monetary policy. What does contractionary monetary policy or fiscal policy means? For contractionary fiscal policy, it means government would reduce its spending or increase its taxes. For contractionary monetary policy, government would increase interest rates. So because if government increases interest rates, amount of more borrowing will reduce. Firms will not want to invest more. Consumers will not want to borrow more to consume. So that's the relationship between consumption. That's the relationship between savings and
consumption.
Savings, consumption, and income. Any question, please?
No.
Good.